What's up, everybody? Brett here, and we're back today casting some more Total Warhammer 2 replays. This one was submitted by David the White Lizard. Thank you so much, buddy. You can do that on our Discord channel if you like, guys. The link will be in the description down below. But this is going to be a 3v3. Greenskins on both sides and lots of goblins. We got some Savage Orcs in his build. But David's army is going to be joined by the Vampire Coast and the High Elves versus the Greenskins as well with the Empire and Skaven. Skaven look like they're coming in some big numbers. But as soon as this loads up, we'll take a look at the armies. We're definitely going to want to go in slow-mo before things get too heavily underway here. We've got some Vanguard shenanigans going on. Let me just do a quick 360 to see. Yeah, Empire also has, these look like Outriders. So it looks like 4 Outriders? Jeez, that's a bold strategy. I like it. So they've got armor-piercing missiles. They're Vanguard deployable, and against the Vampire Coast, I really like it because oftentimes you can pick off their artillery before they get a chance to fire too much. But the way these armies have been dispersed, you can tell that the players are trying to cover each other's weaknesses and adapt to the battlefield. So I like that kind of play. I hate it when you do a 3v3 and each person does their own individual little army that doesn't actually contribute to the team. So the Vampire Coast player has his Scurvy Dogs out on this flank. He's got these Sirens here, perhaps to flank because they're pretty fast at 48 speed, but also they can help with the frontline engagement for the Greenskins, who are immediately going to be under assault by multiple Hellstorm rocket batteries from the Empire. And because of their tightly packed formation, even some of which cannot be seen, they do have stalk. A lot of Goblin units do have stalk. They are still going to get hit by the rockets. The rockets shoot in such a huge area of effect that they're still going to be quite devastating. Even if they just aim at the Savage Orcs, they're going to hit everything behind. The Greenskin front line, Savage Orcs and Goblins mixed. I like that. Hard-hitting, fast, and relatively cheap. We've got pump wagons in the mix, including the ones with the flappas who you never see. And also Loogie Boogie Spore Splodas, who we're going to try and watch with their special giant Splodin Spores ability. So every now and then, whenever they hit in melee, they'll cause an explosion, which is pretty sweet. And then they've got Pump Harder Ladz, which increases their ability to knock enemies back. Charge speed bonus, all that good stuff. And then lots and lots of light cav. We've got Grom the Paunch and a giant River Troll Hag with some good AoE spells. I saw Black Sun there, which is always good in a 3v3 because you're going to get lots and lots of lumped up formations. We've got Mortars here, Carronades here. We've got the Night Terrors in the center. Very interesting because they can Vanguard deploy, but to put them kind of invisibly in your back line is sort of interesting. With Silastra Direfin, she has tons and tons of spells, Lore of Deep, and also a Vampire Fleet Captain with the Lore of Vampires. Lots of money spent here on spells and abilities that will probably never be used. Definitely just bringing this character for the Invocation of Nehek. The Power Stone also has the Speed Scroll and Taunt. So once again, lots and lots of abilities. Hopefully they can manage to micro all that and make that effective. Cheap front line and just tons and tons of Morghuls. While the High Elf player holding this flank, which may be the most dangerous flank because it sort of puts him fighting 2 armies at once. He's got lots of Silver and Guard mixed in with Spearmen, so pretty durable front line. Silver and Guard interchangeable with Spearmen. Being backed up by Sisters of Avalorn, who I would probably keep a little further back than this. They're running into sort of the danger zone here. We've got Teclis on his new Magic Bird, looking beautiful. Yeah, he's on his Arcane Phoenix, with nearly infinite winds of magic and a ton of spells at his command. He's got his Potion of Troy, some Illyrian Reavers as his light cav, and then 2 units of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Anything else worth noting? We also have the Sword Masters of Hoeth, and I think that's it. So, man, we got to get through this quick before my voice gives out. Lots of fast-moving Goblin units, Mangy Marauders, Standard, Goblin Wolf Riders out on the flanks. We've got a solid little force here. The Rusty Heirs, Night Goblin Archers, and 2 nasty Skulkers with a Night Goblin Shaman, all invisible, are going to look to take this flank, and with nothing really to challenge them. I mean, there's no highly mobile forces to punish this, to scout them out and then drive them off the edge of the map. And then just really cheap Goblins here. Goblin Big Boss in here to help keep them fighting, perhaps. We've got some River Trolls with a couple Chevrons, and their Overwhelming Odor passive, -6 melee attack and an AoE around them. They can be pretty good at sort of surrounding single entities and beating them down with their armor-piercing high weapon strength of 80. And then the Skaven, what's kind of the theme here, they've got 3 groups of rat ogres. See what they can do with that. Lots of Skaven slaves and clan rats from what I'm seeing. But they also have the council guard, who are unbreakable and have the guardian ability. Incredibly powerful halberd unit. They're also very expensive. If you can catch them with some artillery sniping, you can get a lot of value that way. 2 poison wind mortars. Range of 250 with Lord Skrolk in the center here. He's got good magic, good summons. And as long as he stays alive, he's one of those lords that can get a lot of value over the course of a long game. Grom is going in hot. He sees that these spearmen are, for the most part, not braced. Spearmen with shields, very cheap option. Protect them versus, ranged firepower, but also, oh god, a bombardment coming down. I'm pretty sure that's from the giant river troll hag. Let's see how much value that gets. And we're going to take it off a slow-mo in just a sec here. And then 3 groups of handgunners, yes. With the Lord being an Archlector and a Bright Wizard. Bright Wizard is going to come in handy with all these fire spells against the trolls and against Grom himself. He just has to give the right spells. The Sword of Ruin, for instance, will give flaming damage to your front line and allow them perhaps to do more damage to Grom because of his weakness to fire due to his regeneration. Okay, before my voice all the way gives out, let's full speed this. The Outriders are coming in. Forest Goblin Archers are here to support, and the Sirens are going in. Tried to make a bit of a blob with Grom the Paunch and then follow it up with a purple sun there, but only 20 kills on the Troll Hag, and that flame, is it Flame Storm? I'm trying to remember what the name of that spell is. Yeah, Flame Storm. Wow, I nailed it. Totally whiffed. It totally whiffed. The handgunners are going to chew up the Savage Orcs who have no missile resistance, but if these pump wagons can get in here, in and amongst these handguns, they're just dead. They're not being protected by anything. Even these Skaven slaves could have helped to perhaps keep Grom out, but it's too late now. The Empire did a really poor job managing their front line. They didn't protect literally anything. They're losing all 3. I missed there's actually 3 of these Hellstorm rocket batteries. All 3 went offline. Beautiful play from the Vampire Coast player, who's microing quite a bit right now. They've got their artillery raining. The Morghuls are coming in. The Outriders are skirmishing. Perhaps the micro of the Empire player was too busy focused on microing those Outriders. In the meantime, your entire front line is dead. Your very expensive artillery investments are gone. And your 3 groups of handgunners are no more. And these pump wagons, so cheap, are just running rampant. And nothing is stopping them. The Skaven certainly weren't stopping them. And they've got their hands full here now with these cheap zombie pirate deckhand mobs. And the Morghuls, who, without much of an answer, Skaven Slave spears, even though they are spears versus a large target. The Morghuls heal. They have hunger. As they attack, they heal. And Skaven Slaves just don't have the DPS output necessary to get through that healing. And the trap is sprung on the High Elf player, but the Skaven player has left too many units in reserve. He's got an Assassin back here and 2 Night Runners. Were they to push up here, potentially lock down these Sisters of Avalorn, let's say, the Nasty Skulkers would be allowed to catch up to them. They maybe could sneak around and shut down the Eagle of Bolt Throwers. But so much for the Skaven player is currently being underutilized that it's allowing the High Elf player to hold on longer than he otherwise would have. And it also kept the Empire player from having the means to defend his ranged units. So there, I hate to blame it on the Skaven player, but when you take up the center position, you've got to be willing to support your allies on either side. And especially when you know that one of your allies is doing a bold flanking maneuver with his Night Goblin Warboss. They're going to look like they're shutting down now the artillery. But I would even imagine that Teclis on his Arcane Phoenix can probably 1v1 this Night Goblin, with the Wa being popped now. As long as none of these Nasty Skulkers or anything break off to come and help. And some of them it looks like they are, but it's a little too late. Teclis got some big damage going on. Flaming Sword helping him out. He went for a Flame of Azurian cast, and it kind of whiffed. I hate that spell. It never hits. Unless you have an opponent who's really not paying attention. But the Greenskins are running rampant. The Outriders are still online, but I doubt they're being very effective. They got some decent kills, probably mostly on Goblins, though. Meanwhile, this Bright Wizard's getting gunned down. The Empire Infantry is going. The Archlector is being driven off, and the Pump Wagons are going to be allowed to just get into whatever targets they want, while the Mortars and the Carronades continue to rain down fire. Good play here from the Vampire Coast player, leaving behind a Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mob with pole arms to prevent this very exact scenario. They should be able to. They're crumbling, it looks like. But they should be able to beat that. I mean, they're just outriders. They're not very strong in melee. High Elf, unfortunately. As soon as I realized I was being surrounded, I would have pulled all of my Sisters of Avalorn back and put them in their safest spot possible. And then I would man, I'd be sniping out Lord Stroke right here. He's in the actual middle of nowhere. It looks like instead they're targeting the River Trolls, which is not a bad idea. They do flaming damage, and that does bonus damage to the River Trolls, thanks to their regeneration, giving them that flame weakness. Skaven are being driven back. No surprise, though. That's kind of part of their shtick. But as they rally, they will come back. Grom is given free reign here, and on his mighty chariot, there's not much that can stop him. The Morghuls also are pushing in behind these Savage Orcs, giving them that cover. Hell yeah. He smashes them with his huge axe. Almost 100 kills there now. The question is, you know, this Goblin army is almost entirely intact. Yeah, they have some tattered units, but they have almost every unit still alive. And they basically 1v1'd the High Elf player and decimated them. They have all their magic. They have, let's see, their Lord is still in the fight as well. So Teclis wasn't able to shut that down. Where is Teclis? Hopefully he didn't get killed. We should be able to see a big dead rainbow pigeon on the ground somewhere if he did indeed die. But I don't see him at the moment. Huh. Anyway, we'll find him. We'll figure out what happened to him after. But the pump wagons are still running rampant. Let's see, these are the standard pump wagons. These are the Loogie Boogies. And even Salastra is getting the mix. She's been casting some of her spells. We've kind of seen them going off. Vangeist's Revenge was the giant ghostly ship that fired earlier. Up to 46 kills on these dudes. Oh, here we go. And a summon being spit out. It's going to be the Rotting Prometheans. Assassins got nothing for these Rotting Prometheans, that's for sure. And that's going to break off these clan rats. Vampire Fleet Captain in the mix. All these different points of leadership for these crumbly, low leadership units are very important. And the Greenskins and the Vampire Coast still have theirs intact. The Archlector's still in the battlefield, surprising, but he's not contributing in any way at all. Looks like the Empire player is so busy perhaps microing maybe some of their ranged units that they're having trouble. And the Greenskin player here, the enemy Greenskin player, let's call him, the Goblin player, is I was about to say reformatting like he's a computer. No, he's trying to get his formation in order. That can be difficult to do once units rout and they break your hot groups. So what you have to do is kind of reorganize them, reassemble your hot groups. It can be hard to do on the fly, but he's trying to pull all of his units together. And it's funny because they kind of swap positions on the map, right? All of our allied colored, factions are all kind of on this side now. Meanwhile, the stronghold for the defense is over here. Some of the rallying High Elf units are getting back in there. Swordmaster of Hoeth up to 175 kills. They are definitely not going to have any problems breaking these goblins with the support of the Silverin Guard. Yeah, the Greenskin player needs to do a bit better of a job at reassigning roles, reestablishing front lines. Looks like there's a mortar that's still online here. Scurvy Dog's up to almost 100 kills. Those Night Goblins are trying to help out. Morghuls are getting taken down. You don't want to send in Morghuls by themselves. They're a pretty squishy unit unless they're supported. See, a full health giant River Troll Hag. Probably even still has some mana left. We've got an assassin over here that's getting beaten down. Not the best at fighting someone like Grom. A Foot Lord he would have a good chance of defeating. Or at least doing, very well against. But Grom on a chariot should be able to knock him around a bit too much with his, mass, his superior mass. Salastra is here. She's fine. We've got the Goblin Big Boss. I would probably pull that back. It's dueling the Vampire Fleet Captain, which it can win, mostly thanks to the poison that it has whenever it's on the back of the Arachnarok Spider. And good job cycle charging. But you can see the leadership is having some issues. It gave itself the Potion of Foolhardiness, which made it unbreakable. Not sure why you would pop that if you weren't willing to go in for the charge. Goblin War Boss, 360 life left. Man, that's not a lot. Protect your archers, though, man. You've got 3 groups of archers. Make a little, kill box and surround them with whatever you can. Put your leadership in the center to make sure they don't run. But I think at this point, the balance of power has tipped too heavily in our allied colored units' favor. And they're just going to take this battle. The Sirens untouched, basically. They didn't get a lot of kills either, but they're more tanky than they are offensive. But even still, I'm not sure what they were doing for the entire battle. Maybe chasing off routing units. The Night Terrors are still almost perfectly intact. All unit models are still active, and they're surrounding and beating down the Goblin Big Boss. There must be something unbreakable on the battlefield. We can go ahead and fast forward here. As whatever is the... Oh, that's right, these Night Goblins here. This is the Regiment of Renown. I think these are the 8 Picaloonies. They're always with this bug that doesn't actually give you their real name. But that's going to be it. Good play. Good play. I hate to put the burden of a loss all on one player. But I will say that there was a lot of ineffective micro. I mean, look at these numbers. You know, with the exception of the Council Guard, who you almost can't mess up because they're unbreakable. And they're just an extremely powerful and expensive unit. The rest of this is like almost like they weren't even here, sadly. Had they put some of these units into being very defensive, let's say helping out the defense of the Hellstorm rocket batteries and these handgunners, perhaps the Empire player would have been a bit more effective in using all of these expensive range tools that really can't defend themselves with only 4 375 gold, I believe, frontliners. I mean, you might as well not even have a front line if you only got 4 of them. Throw a couple clan rats in front of your allies' formation and let them take the charge. That way, you know, your artillery can fire longer. Zatoichi, great name. One of my favorite, well, probably my favorite series of all time. If you've never heard of Zatoichi, do yourself a favor, guys. I think I've got them all downloaded somewhere on one of my external hard drives. To buy the complete set of Zatoichi is quite expensive. The Blind Swordsman. It's a great old Japanese series that went on. I don't even know. I'm rambling now about Zatoichi, but I can't speak highly enough about this. If you love like black and white samurai movies, that's basically what this is, and then it ends up in color. The same actor played the same character for like decades, and he's kind of beloved in Japan from what I know. So this player did great. Zatoichi, you did awesome, man. Your flank was brilliant. Some of your units perhaps were a bit mismicroed at the end there. You weren't able to quite organize well enough. Perhaps you were just overwhelmed by the amount of units that were left to face. But, yeah. Let's see, the Vampire Coast player, I thought did very well. The Scurvy Dog play in the beginning was brilliant. Just a perfect... The way he was able to go up and around and put one Scurvy Dog on each Hellstorm rocket battery was just absolutely chef's kiss perfect. The artillery fired for almost the entire battle because he protected it. And his artillery was able to do work. The carronades were a little bit awkward there, mostly because of the hilly nature of the terrain. Probably would have been better off going with an extra mortar, which I think is even cheaper than a carronade. And you can see the difference in kills there. But maybe expecting some large unit. You know, if the greenskin player bought a giant, the carronade would look like a brilliant pick. So it's always hard to backseat quarterback what exactly you should take in those situations. And the High Elf player, TD 2013... solid build. The Swordmasters, of course, got their value. They just needed to protect their Sisters of Avalorn a little bit better. But who sees that type of overwhelming flank coming? It's hard. You want to suspect it always, but it's hard to know that you're going to have almost an entire army hitting you from an awkward side of the battlefield that you didn't expect. And the Sisters of Avalorn are such a powerful late game unit that if you can just keep them alive, they'll earn dividends for you. We didn't see what happened to Teclis. I can only assume he got taken down kind of after we finished watching him for a minute. I just figured he would be able to get pulled up and out of harm's way, especially with the Potion of Troy, which gives him, I think, 44% physical resistance as well as healing. So he's a really hard, and he also has regrowth. So he's a very hard unit to kill. Very hard lord to kill, and he flies. So, not sure what happened there. But yeah, guys, thank you so much, David, for sending this in. This is a great game. Your pump wagons, I thought, did awesome, as did Grom. And everything else was just here to kind of be a front line, these were all very standard unit choices that kind of just were there to hold the fight long enough for your pump wagons and your chariots to be the ones that actually did the work. And I think that's a really solid strategy for the Greenskins. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Brett. My channel is Goodtalk Gaming. As always, guys, you can find my content on my YouTube channel whenever you want. Watch it, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps me out a great deal. I'd love to cast some of your games if you'd like to submit them. I kind of mentioned it in the beginning. but it's pretty easy to submit a game on the Total War replay part of our Discord. And yeah, love to get some new people in there and see maybe some new play styles. Otherwise, soon I'm gonna have to just start grinding out some games myself to show you guys some of the wacky builds that I sometimes get up to. But that's it, y'all. Take care. Have a great day. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.